Good day, everyone. We are the third group, and we are going to discuss our topic that is the earliest heroes. These include the story of Prometheus and Io, the story of Europa, the story of the Cyclops Polyphemus, and the stories of the flower myths.
Good day everyone, I am Eliza Kalumpit, the first presenter of the group, and I will share the story of Prometheus and Io, the earliest heroes. And in this presentation, we will include the characters, setting, the plot, and the central theme of the story. So first, let us discuss the characters, Prometheus and Io. So in this characters, we will dig deeper about their background. So first, let us discuss about Prometheus. Prometheus is known as the wisest titan. His name is meant by forethought. He demonstrates the value of thought and knowledge. And also, Prometheus is also known as the rebel titan. He opposes Zeus because of his anger over his punishment. And Prometheus is also considered as man's best friend. His friendship for humanity is the cause of his punishment. He was punished because of giving fire to humans. Now let us proceed to the character of Io. Io is a victim of Zeus' love. She was seduced by Zeus and was exiled from her home, changed into a heifer. Heifer is a young female cow. The setting of the story is on the rocky side of the sea where Prometheus was bound. Now let us proceed to the plot of the story of Prometheus and Io. So Zeus tasked Prometheus to create humans. Prometheus takes over and devises a way to make mankind superior over animals. He gave the mankind the upright and likeness of gods, and he even traveled to the sun and bring fire to the earth. But then, Zeus resents the advantage that Prometheus gave to mankind. With this action, Zeus punished Prometheus. Zeus was unpleased with his action, but he cannot undo the gift. That is why he decided to punish Prometheus. The next thing that happened to Prometheus was tied to a rock, and every day a crow would eat his liver. Prometheus has no rest, no sleep, but Prometheus endured those suffering. And then one day, a strange visitor came, a heifer. She used to be a beautiful lady named Io, who turned into a cow in order to escape from Hera's wrath. This cow speaks like a lady with a voice of sorrow and pain, but is still beautiful. And Io told her bitter story to Prometheus. Now let us take a look on the flashback of the story of Io. Io was a beautiful lady that made Zeus fall in love with her. But then Zeus' wife, Hera, got jealous on their relationship. That is why Zeus decided to turn Io into a heifer to hide the true identity of Io. The shrewd Hera asked for the heifer as a gift or as a present, and Zeus reluctantly gave Io away. Hera gave Io to a monster with 1,000 eyes named Argus to look after her. Zeus missed Io a lot. That is why he asked his son Hermes. Hermes is a messenger of God, to find ways of killing Argus, the monster with 1,000 eyes, and he succeeded on his mission to kill Argus. And it seemed that Io would be free, but Hera sent her flies to drive her insane. Then, Prometheus reveals a prophecy that Io will wander for a long time in the beastly body, which is being a heifer, tormented by flies, which is the curse of Hera. But finally, she'll reach the Nile River, where Zeus will restore her will restore her human form and give her son. This son will be named Hercules. Hercules, born the greatest heroes, and whom Prometheus would gain his freedom. And Hercules would give freedom to Prometheus. Now let us proceed on the central theme of the story. First, life's journey and experiences doesn't recognize the physical attribute of an individual. So whatever your appearance, whatever your physical attributes, just like Io, who turned into a beastly body, this is not a hindrance to help others, and you can help somebody to have his or her freedom. And next one, whatever happens, there is always hope. Like what happened to Prometheus and Io, even though they suffered a lot, they are cursed by their opponents, there is always hope, there is always freedom through helping one another. And the last one is the value of sympathy. Prometheus and Io sympathize each other, and this is a theme that as humans must adapt in our lives.
Good day everyone. Today I will be presenting to you the goddess of all continents, or the god of continents. This is goddess Europa. This myth is about a beautiful girl that was abducted and then seduced by Zeus, the chief of gods. The name of Europa is mentioned in many contexts, most of which deal with the divine union between a young girl and Zeus. The most popular myth about Europa says that she was the daughter of Agenor, a Phoenician king, and later became a wife of Zeus, the king of gods. Zeus once saw her on the seashore of Phoenicia playing with her friends. He was so captivated by her beauty that he fell in love with her and developed a strong desire to possess her. Immediately, he took the form of a white bull and approached her. The bull looked wonderful with its snow-white body and gem-like horns. Europa looked at the extraordinary animal curiously and dared to touch, and later hung him because he appeared so calm to her. Later, she was somehow motivated to climb on his back. As soon as she did so, Zeus ran to the sea and carried her all the way from Phoenicia to the island of Crete. There, he regained his human form and mated with her under an evergreen tree. This was the abduction of Europa, who later gave birth to 3 sons of Zeus, Minos, Radamantis, and Sarpedon. These men were known for their fairness and became the 3 judges of the underworld when they died. In fact, Minos founded the town of Knossos and gave his name to an entire civilization, the Minoan civilization. Zeus loved Europa so much that he showered her with 3 priceless gifts. The first one was a bronze man Talos, who served as a guard to her. He was the bronze giant that the Argonauts met and killed in their attempt to shore on Crete. The second was a dog Lailops, which could hunt anything she wanted. The last one was a javelin that had the power to hit the target, whatever it was. So the setting of the story is from the Mount Olympus, where Zeus was residing, the fields where Zeus appeared before Europa, and the ocean that lovers traveled. And the theme of this story is that good things come to people who put their trust in the divinity. That's all for today, and thank you.
Today, I am Chrismy Canceran, the third presenter in our group. This time, I am going to share with you the story of Polyphemus. This includes the characters, setting, plot, and the central theme of the story. Here are the characters of the story. So we have Polyphemus, a cyclops who was cruel and bloodthirsty. And lastly, Odysseus, the hero of Odyssey that outsmarted Polyphemus. So the setting of the story is cave by the sea that is owned by the cyclops Polyphemus. Let's proceed to the plot of the story. So Polyphemus, the cyclops, after assuming charge of the planet, Zeus banishes much of Gaia's monsters, but he allows the cyclops to stay on Earth where they live on their own island. A dangerous place for travelers, Odysseus meets Polyphemus, a cyclops who described as a son of Poseidon. Polyphemus kidnaps Odysseus and his men and eats 4 of them before Odysseus can escape. Odysseus and his men sharpen a large stake in the cave as Polyphemus tends to his sheep in the fields. Odysseus has Polyphemus high on wine, so the men use the stake to put out Polyphemus' eye, causing the cyclops to thrash around the cave, but he does not roll away the great stone blocking the entrance. Odysseus, his men hide among the cyclops' ships as he takes them out to the fields in the morning. And Odysseus taunts Polyphemus once his ship is away from shore, angering Poseidon and condemning Odysseus to more years of wandering. In a later tale, Polyphemus reappears with his eye healed. Tormented by passion for a nymph called Galatea, she flirts and teases him despite the fact that she does not reciprocate his feelings, making Polyphemus miserable. Galatea defends Polyphemus when his friends taunt him in one version of the story, claiming that as Poseidon's son, he deserves respect. However, when Galatea marries a man called Acis, Polyphemus murders him in a jealous rage. Acis transforms into River Styx. Here is the central theme of the story. Brute force and strength doesn't guarantee victory. Based from the story, Polyphemus is giant and very strong. But then, despite of this strength, Odysseus has a chance to defeat him. So the lesson here is, even though we are powerful, there must be a chance that someone will going to defeat us someday, if we will be contented enough from this strength. Next, the person who uses his head and tactics would usually come out victorious. So compared to Polyphemus, Odysseus is no match to his height and strength. But then, despite of this, Odysseus used his mind and strategies on how he will going to defeat Polyphemus, and at the end, he won by taking out the eyes of the Cyclops. The lesson here is that we should not lose hope because there are many reasons and ways that we would be able to survive no matter how big or hard is the problem is. That's all. Thank you.
So good day everyone, I am Brian Adams Bawe and I am the 4th presenter. And I will be presenting the stories of the flower myths, especially the story of Narcissus, the story of Hyacinth, and the story of Adonis. And I will also be telling 4 aspects of each story. These include: first, the characters; second, the setting; third, the plot, and then the 4th one is the theme. So let's proceed with the story of Narcissus. So here are the characters. Echo, a cursed nymph who fell in love with Narcissus. Narcissus, a hunter who was known for his beauty and was punished by Nemesis. And then Nemesis was the goddess of vengeance who punished Narcissus, nymphs and maidens, those that fell in love with Narcissus. And then the setting of the story is in the forest or in the woods and by the river. So the plot of the story goes like this. A boy named Narcissus was so beautiful that all the nymphs of the forest loved him. One of Artemis' favorites, Echo, was especially smitten with him. Her punishment for speaking so much was that she could only repeat what others said. She could not have a conversation with Narcissus. So because Narcissus, whom Echo fell in love with, had not given back the love that Echo gave to him, the goddess of vengeance named Nemesis punished this young boy. And then what the goddess of vengeance did to him was that he cursed him to love himself and gaze at his reflection until he died. And then when the boy or the youth died, the flower that took his place was named Narcissus in honor of him. And then the theme of the story of Narcissus was that the inability to love was of forced fate, and vanity is dangerous. So the first theme is that because Narcissus was not able to love back those that loved or those that admired him, he was being cursed. And then vanity is dangerous, or vanity is dangerous. That means that a hard-hearted person is dangerous to deal with. And then we also have the story of Hyacinth. So the characters of this story is Apollo, the god of music and poetry whom Hyacinth became intimate friends with. Hyacinth, a young man of great beauty, killed when a discus thrown by Apollo was blown by Zephyrus towards his forehead. Zephyrus was the god of west wind who was gotten jealous of Apollo and Hyacinth's intimacy and caused the death of Hyacinth. And so the setting of this story is by the field. So here's the summary or the plot. Another flower was the hyacinth, shaped like a lily and with deep crimson in color. It came from Hyacinthus, Apollo's companion who was accidentally killed by the god's disgust. Apollo was grief-stricken and he named the flower that bloomed in his blood after him. So he named the flower Hyacinth. These flowers are emblematic of Greek mythology, beauty supported by terrible sacrifice. So the death of Hyacinth was because of the jealous felt by the god of west wind, Zephyrus, who then redirected the disgust thrown by Apollo towards Hyacinth, and this caused the death of Hyacinth. So what's the theme of the story? The theme is that love is how we stay alive long after we are gone. So this depicts that of Hyacinth, and then that is inevitable. So that means that humans cannot escape death, just like what happened to Hyacinth. And then the last story of the flower myth is that of Adonis. So Adonis is a hunter of unmatched beauty who fell in love with Aphrodite and was killed by Ares' plan. So Ares was the god of war who killed Adonis with his plan. Aphrodite was the goddess of love and beauty who was attracted to Adonis. Eros was the god of love and son of Aphrodite who played the trap for Persephone. Persephone was the goddess of the underworld who fell in love with Adonis. And then the setting of this story is in the forest or on a spring day. So let's go to the plot or the summary. The summary goes like this. The most rich of the flower tales is of Adonis. So that means that Adonis' story is the most or is the worst of them all. And then Aphrodite fell in love with the youth when he was born and took him to Persephone. So Aphrodite fell in love with Adonis, and then Aphrodite brought Adonis to Persephone. But unfortunately, Persephone also fell in love with Adonis. So that caused the misunderstanding, or that caused the conflict among them. And then one year when he was on a hunt with Aphrodite, a boar gored him and his blood became the anemone, or the flower that bloomed where his body, or where the body of Adonis had been laid. So we could see here that the story of Adonis was the worst of them all. So two women fell in love with him, namely Aphrodite and the goddess of the underworld, Persephone. So what caused the death of Adonis was the conflict among them, which Zeus tried to um, resolve by having a decree that the boy would spend half the year with the dead and the other half with the living. And so Adonis spent half of his life with the alive, who was Aphrodite, and then with the dead, who was with the queen of the underworld, Persephone. So what's the theme? The theme is that love is eternal and that ends a life, not a relationship. Even gods cannot defy that. So love is eternal. That means that even the characters died in the story, they were still able to love, especially Adonis, who loved in the underworld the queen of it, who was Persephone. And then that ends a life, not a relationship. So that means that the relationship between Adonis and Aphrodite was still being felt by Aphrodite. And then even gods cannot defy that. So that means that even gods, in the case of Adonis' story, couldn't defy that, or they were also prone to it. So that's all the stories of the earliest heroes in the Greek mythology. So we hope that you have learned a lot, and good day.